former West Ham keeper, former MK Dons goalkeeper. Please welcome Dave Martin.
I was born 86 and that was one of Dad's best years at West Ham. Jared's last minute winner. Like, there was no better feeling than that. I played for Tottenham and Millwall, like two arch enemies of West Ham. I said to Dad, I don't really enjoy being a centre back anymore. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, what am I going to go? And then within another 18 months, I was playing for England. And I turned around the corner and Steven Gerrard was walking towards me. And I was like, him and this other lad are howling in the background, playing, I think it was Real Madrid in pre-season. He nutmegs Modric. Like, Akinfenwa wanted to fight him at half time. He's not bombed me to third choice again, has he? He went, no, you're playing tomorrow at Birmingham. I went, what? I can't really remember a lower moment in my career than that moment. There's a third choice role for you at West Ham if you want it. Those came in, he sat next to me, goes, Dave, I've just been in Pello's office. I went, right? He said, you're playing Saturday. And I thought, if there's one moment that I'm going to share with my dad, this is it.
Thanks to the sponsors of this episode, Forged Irish Stout, an unbelievably smooth, creamy stout by Conor McGregor, the UFC legend. Not here to take part, but here to take over. Forged Irish Stout is on a mission to become the biggest Irish stout. Conor McGregor has taken over the whiskey game. Now he's about to take over the stout game. Forged Irish Stout will be available in Asda nationwide come August. Perfect for our first win of the season, I think. Let's get back to the podcast. Hello everyone and welcome back to the Yours Mine Away podcast with me, Mark Howard. I feel like I say this every week, but we are joined by yet another top goalkeeper and an absolute top quality guy as well. Former West Ham keeper, former MK Dons goalkeeper, currently a free agent, so snap him up quickly. Please welcome Dave Martin.
Hi guys, you all right?
How you doing, mate?
Good, mate.
You'll get used to it. You'll relax into
Yeah.
it, mate. It's very informal, this chat and that.
Yeah.
Obviously, like I was saying, like former West Ham, everyone will probably know you a bit from your story at West Ham. I'm going to leave that till later on and mention that we was both out at the TST tournament together and we had a good chat out there and obviously getting to know you and I can tell you're just a lovely human being, mate, first and foremost.
Not even my mum would say that, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure she would. Little Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah, now, what did you think of the tournament?
I loved it. Yeah, I wasn't too sure first going out. I didn't know what to expect. What's the standard was going to be. I think everyone, like probably even in the Wrexham camp, it was like, what's the standard going to be? You don't want to go out there and mug yourself off. But, when you actually got there, the couple of days before, it was like, going to America. Like I'd only been to Vegas, so just going to America was a brand new kind of experience. But when you actually got to the tournament, you realised how serious they were. And the training started, and then you think, right, the game's tomorrow. So you get that, that little butterflies, thinking, right, it's still a game of football. Because I just love being a goalkeeper.
Well, even like playing with like ex-players, their competitive edge comes straight back as soon as you put a pair of football boots on, doesn't it?
That's right. Yeah. So obviously we had a real team that played Premier League games, a lot of Premier League games between them, and it was almost like the belief in them. Yeah, we're going to go and do this. We're going to do that. And I was thinking, just calm down. Let's just see what the competition's like first. And because I said, that game was more about legs and being fit and running. So, it doesn't matter how many Premier League games you played, but I said, you could see some of the quality that, we had Barrow Morte in our team and some of the things he was doing.
He scored a worldie goal as well, didn't he?
Yeah, right. So you kind of got to see little glimpses of what they could do. And to be fair to Barrow, he was still fit. It was just a couple of other lads who were probably a little bit heavier.
That's what we were just talking about this off camera. But yeah, you had like obviously Carlton Cole, Marlon Harewood, Anton Ferdinand. You had some big blokes, and they just wouldn't be recovering as quickly as some of the younger, fitter players that you would have had in your squad. Yeah,
it was a tall ask. I think 2 days before we did just a small sided game. We did 5 minutes each way. I think after the first 5 minutes, a lot of them were done. So I was a little bit worried going into the games, but we got through it and we enjoyed it. It was a little bit of controversy through it, but like I said, we felt that we did things right and we come out the other side of it.
Yeah, one of the biggest things for us as well going as Wrexham, but it was just to represent the club well. I think your guys and Wolves, that's mainly what our goal was. We didn't know what the football standard would be like. like, just go and represent the club well, go and have a bit of fun. And I think a few lads had a bit too much fun some nights out, but no, it was good fun. It was good. It was a good trip.
Yeah, I think a lot of the lads had missed, of course, the dressing room. They'd missed belonging to something.
Yep.
And obviously I've been brought up West Ham all my life and knowing what it means to belong to that. And I think when you go away from it, you know, we're all human and you can take things for granted a little bit sometimes. And coming back, it was just like, boys are back together. Like, so you could see that they loved being a part of it and representing West Ham. And you could see what it meant to them, you know, throughout the tournament. And they wanted to do the best for the club,
Yeah.
I think.
And you are a West Ham fan as well.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. Obviously, I was born '86, and that was, you know, one of Dad's best years at West Ham.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you know, I've been West Ham ever since. So to get the chance to go back there was just a dream come true.
I want to talk about the Europa Conference final as well before we start talking about yourself.
Yeah.
Did you go out to the final?
Yes, managed to sneak a ticket from Mr. Aaron Cresswell. So yeah,
Looked after you. Yeah.
he did. Yeah, he's a really good old Cress. He's
How
right.
was it?
He's right for a Scouser. I've got to say.
How was the atmosphere around and that?
It was crazy. Like, you know, I got out there because we got back from the tournament on the Tuesday. You got back on Monday. I got back on the Tuesday, so I was still jet lagged, and then I flew out to Prague on the Wednesday morning at 9. So then I got to the hotel, got into bed for a couple of hours, and I thought, right, let's go and enjoy it now. And you could just feel the atmosphere on the streets, the build up to it. I remember I was sitting on my own in a little cafe, just having some food. I had a couple of beers on my own. I was thinking, God, we're actually in the final. And then it just got better and better up to the stadium. And you could just feel that buzz. You know, West Ham fans were everywhere around that stadium because to have, I think it was 20,000.
It was a small stadium for such a big event.
Really, really small. And we could have probably sold that out 3 or 4 times over, which was a shame. But it just made it that more intense. Like, you know, and West Ham, we always travel well, to be fair.
It's a hell of an achievement when you put it into context.
No, like, you know, last time we won something was 1980.
Yep.
So, and there's, you know, big teams in that eventually. And Fiorentina were no mugs. You know, obviously Roma was it the year before that won it. So it's definitely a tournament that we look at and it's got a prestige around it.
Yep.
So that's how I think every West Ham feels. And I'm still buzzing now. Literally I think about it and I think about what, and you could see what it meant to the lads. I was lucky enough to be on the pitch with them after, and you could see every one of them was really, really emotional because they knew what it meant to them and their families and to the supporters. Yeah,
I want to talk about like the current players that you still know and are friends with and that. But was you more happy as a fan or was you happy for those players?
It was just, it's hard to describe. Like going there as a supporter, feeling, it's almost like tribal. So that's the best thing I can explain. And obviously I was away from the club for a long, long time. I still had that love for West Ham. But when you get back into to it, like I think I'll be like this now for the rest of my life because it's just an addictive drug. Like I look at West Ham and every team. So like you'll have supporters at West Ham and you know Arsenal and we won't say Tottenham, but you know. And it was I just felt in that stadium, in that standing next to West Ham fans, celebrating with them. You know, Jared's last minute winner. Like there was no better feeling than that and buzz. But then to share it with the lads that it meant so much to as well. Yeah. Every single player. Like, players weren't even playing. Like they were obviously Cress was, you know, he didn't play that day. But you could see the emotion was pouring out of him because he knew what it meant for him because he played big games before that, you know, the semis, the quarters, and to actually be a part of that team that achieved this for West Ham was just unbelievable.
See, West Ham as a club, even though obviously like the TST tournament, and I've started following a lot of your players that were out there and that, but it seemed like they were all involved as well. It felt like West Ham as a club treats people, even once they've left the club, properly.
Yeah, I mean, West Ham over the years have had some great players. Like I said, you know, we've pride ourselves on having a really good youth team, bringing like Rio, Joe Cole through. And now you've got obviously Nobes and Declan Rice.
Yep.
And to be a part of that history and see some of the players that have played for that club, and I think, God, and even now you need to remind him, he played like 300 games for West Ham. Yeah. Like and you know
they deserve to be involved.
They deserve to be involved, and they're good players and they're good people.
Yep.
But that's what I think West Ham have traditionally tried to bring through is good players, but also just as equally is good people.
Good people, yeah. It's so important to run a successful football club.
So even when my dad was there, that was the motto. You know, we're good players, but we're good people as well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the East End kind of theme that runs all the way through the East End of London, I think.
Right, we've crossed paths a lot of times throughout our career. And I think we are, you're 37, I'm 36, but we're the same age for England. We're both 86 birthdays and that. I don't think we ever went away with England together. I remember you going away a lot. Arsenal never used to let me go away too much, but we had unbelievable. Well, you look at how successful all the goalkeepers from our age group have been.
Yeah.
I wanted to run through some of the names, right? So obviously yourself, me, Scott Flinders, Tom Heaton.
Yeah.
I think Joe Hart was a year below.
That's right.
But we had John Ruddy.
John Ruddy, yeah.
I think Darren Randolph's in 86. I know he's at Ireland.
Yes.
And I think Kasper Schmeichel was a year similar age group, I think.
Yeah, I remember him playing against him for Denmark.
Yeah. So, like, why do you think the 86 birthdays just seemed... It's just a good time.
Yeah, I think maybe there was a few things involved in it where the game was changing so much, where the distribution as well, like that was a big thing. So it became not just being a good goalkeeper, but you had to be a part of the team. And I remember going away with England 16. We played this at the nationwide tournament.
Yeah.
I think it was the Czech and Brazil and Italy. I didn't play the first game. I can't remember who played the first game, but the second game I played against the Czech Republic at Birmingham, and I was getting the ball and I was like pinging it out to like the left back, and I was thinking, oh, this is great, this. But I got off and I was thinking to Martin Thomas, and he was like, oh, that's brilliant. Like I was thinking, yeah, but it's just kind of
playing out from the back.
Yeah, playing out from the back, like and it was like, right, that's what. And from then it kind of, I think when you could kind of do that, because the game had changed, and I used to be a centre half.
Yep.
It almost, that age group became, if you were good with your feet, almost gave you another like dimension to your game. Yep. So that's what I felt there was a big change. See,
I'm the same. I loved playing out from the back. Obviously, I came through an academy that we played out from the back. But then once I moved away from that, and like everyone realised I can kick a ball an absolute mile, it was like you get typecast.
Yeah.
And throughout your career, you then get typecast of like you play out from the back, and Mark kicks it long, or like it's so good to show people the other tools that you have. Yeah.
Well, I had that problem when I was at MK Dons, where they played total football. Like that was one thing to Carl. We played. I had five options, and we worked on it twice a week through the week, and I loved it. And there was even points, where Carl would come up to me and say, "Dave, I want you to play more than ever," because he knew the goalkeeper, me, would be the starting point of every attack, and we would try and play out. But then I went from there to Millwall, where I was playing, 30 short passes, goal kicks, everything, and all of a sudden I was doing 30 long goal kicks.
Yeah.
And I wasn't playing in the team necessarily as much because I couldn't kick it as far. So like that, and I used to go and see Neil, and I say like, Neil, how come I'm not playing? Like I feel like I'm really doing really well in training, I'm making good saves, and he says you just don't quite kick it, that far enough for me. And they played a lot of their football, and it was similar when to West Ham really after that, where it was under Pellegrini. He tried to play football, but it was simplified because we can't come into a team that was struggling at the time.
Yeah, you need to.
Where you had Michael Antonio up top, and he used to win everything. And there's Sebastian Haller, who was a big lump, 6'4".
Yeah.
So it did go a little bit more direct. But then I had them 2 years at Millwall, and then 3 years at West Ham, where I didn't play so much at West Ham, and I kind of got pigeonholed again to being, right, I'll just kick it long. I can't play. So teams that, like Swansea or going back to MK Dons, so we haven't seen them play out from the back. I said, it's all I used to do. Like for 7 years as at MK, that's kind of all we used to do under Carl. So it's weird how your profile changes through your career, definitely.
See, I want to go back just briefly. So on the amount of goalkeepers that came through our age group, I've always put it down to our role models of that time.
Yeah.
And they were more exciting as goalkeepers.
Yeah.
So like when we were 6-7 years old and we were watching Peter Schmeichel, we were watching Dave Seaman, like the Van der Sars, keepers were getting celebrated a bit more at that time. So I always grew up watching those sort of people and thinking, I'd like to be a goalie actually.
Yeah. I think David Seaman's, he would always be my hero.
Yep.
Like I just look at him and think, he's a person that makes the hard things look easy. Yeah, well, of course, Ludo. Like when I was a baby, that was it. Oh, Ludo. But when I was coming into, because I was a defender until I was 14.
Yep, you joined. Yeah, you joined.
So
the
Ludo
Union
was a hero man, but obviously Dad was the defender, so I was the centre
Yep.
back. But then when I became a goalkeeper at 14, I think David was the one for me. Where I looked at it and I think, he made the hard things look easy, and he made some unbelievable saves.
You don't get any credit for those good saves as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew everyone remembers about 4 of his mistakes on one save.
But that's what that's the
goalkeepers.
goalkeepers. That's you remembered for your mistakes, unfortunately, not so much for the positive things.
Goalkeeping, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Right, I've got some quick fire questions for you now, right? Just to break you in a little bit. Right,
Okay.
Catch or parry?
Catch.
Favourite kit colour? As a goalkeeper, by the way.
Yeah. Go traditional green, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Finally, someone else agrees with me. Proper green. Right, I love a green kit.
Yeah.
Right, play out from the back or kick it long?
Play out from the back.
Yeah, you have to say that.
Yeah.
All right, favourite ever goalkeeper? Dave Seaman.
Yeah, Seaman.
Yeah,
And
hands
Ludo.
down. Yeah. Anyone else? Any other influences that you tried to model yourself on?
Yeah, I think when we went to England, I think a lot of the stuff we used to see was Van der Sar,
Yep.
like left and right foot.
Yep.
And he was the one that kind of started that off for me, where being good on both feet was a big thing coming into that.
Yep. So important as well.
Yeah.
Right, best stadium you've ever played at?
Apart from London Stadium.
We'll talk about that.
I love playing at Villa Park.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's an intense environment.
The intense the tradition, and they've always done okay there.
Yeah,
so.
good. That's always the best one. Right, match of the day or Sky Sports News?
Match of the day.
Yeah, it has to be traditional.
Yeah.
Long sleeve shirts or short sleeve shirts?
See, I do both. I train in short sleeve, but then long sleeve playing.
What, and pull them up a bit, or you just a full long sleeve
just
kit?
Full long sleeve kit. Yeah,
Proper old school,
yeah.
nice. Tucked in as well.
But do you know what? I haven't played for a while, but yeah, it would always be tucked in.
No. Right, World Cup or Champions League?
To win.
Well, to watch, to win. Yeah, to win. Let's go to win.
Oh, that's so tough. I think because I'm going to go Champions League.
Yeah?
Yeah.
West Ham to win the Champions
exactly.
League.
That's what I was
Or England
thinking.
to win the World Cup. Got to be England.
Yeah.
Right, how tall are you?
6'2".
Yeah. Best goalkeeper in the world right now?
Oh, that's tough. Oh.
There's a great variation to answers normally.
Is it what?
There's normally like 5 keepers that get mentioned, and every now and then someone chucks someone else in the mix. You're like,
Yeah. I mean, it's hard. Do you go Edison just for...
What, he's just won?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, and then finally, save a penalty in the last minute or score a goal in the last minute?
Save a pen.
Yeah, proper goalie.
Yeah.
I always say score a goal.
No,
mate.
save a pen.
Right, you've already mentioned it, but you started out life as a defender.
Yeah.
What made you change?
I think...
Like you said, your dad, sorry. It was a...
Yeah, that obviously Dad was a centre-back, and I think always got put in goal as a centre-back because of that.
Yeah.
And I think I was actually at Tottenham at the time. Can
Yeah.
you believe it? I played for Tottenham and Millwall, like 2 arch enemies of West Ham. But
I think I played against you when you was a centre-back at Tottenham.
no way.
Yeah, I actually think I did.
Yeah,
Because I was
crazy.
at Arsenal
Little ginger
from
biscuit
9,
in the back.
yeah. I think I actually did, though. That's what's mad. Saying our careers have crossed paths a lot.
Yeah, man. So I wasn't enjoying it. I was at Tottenham at the time, and I just said to Dad one day, like, you know, I like going to goal. I like diving at people's feet. I like, you know, making saves and stuff. And we'd always have only one goalkeeper, so I'd always go in the other end. And I said to Dad, I don't really enjoy being a centre back anymore. He said, what do you want to do? And I said, what am I going to go? He went, really? Like, I think it's strange because I think I had a 2-year deal. So I was only 40. I had a 2-year deal up to scholarship. I think after that, they were talking about a YTS and that. I said, look, I don't want to do that. So he said, all right then, well, I'll take you to the local Sunday league team, and I just want you to be happy, like, almost.
Yep.
And, you know, he wasn't pushy one way or the other. So he always just wanted the best for me and my brother and my sister. So I went to a Sunday league team, started playing for Sunday league, then started playing for the school, and then went to Havering, like my district team, and then got scouted for Wimbledon, like within, I think it was like 7-8 months. So that's what kind of changed at 14, 15. And Wimbledon just said, yeah, we'll give you another year schoolboy and a 3-year YTS.
Wow.
Like, so within another 18 months, I was playing for England.
Yeah.
Like going away with is it Lillishall?
Yeah, Lillishall.
Yeah.
That's a huge speedy turnaround from being a centre half, taking a risk at 14 and like walking away from Tottenham.
Yeah.
To then go, no, I actually want to be a goalie. I want to go and enjoy football. And
I mean, I did have the little motivation every now and then where, you know, I was playing for a Sunday league team, and, you know, I remember walking up the stairs one day and I was listening to my mum and dad talk, and they'll go, well, you know, it looks like Dave's not going to be a footballer now. He's gone in goal, and we probably need to get him to concentrate on his schoolwork a little bit more. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I'm going to be a goalkeeper. I'm going to be a professional. And so that I had that on my side where ignorance was bliss.
Yep.
It worked out, but if it didn't, you know, I needed to think about that. You know, at the time I didn't, but I look back now and it's crazy, really.
It's a very brave decision. But like you're saying, you end up doing you didn't do your YTS at Wimbledon, did you? Or you did,
so,
and then then the club changed. Obviously.
So I did. I think it was 17 when they looked to move the club up. So I think it was 17. I think I made my debut at Burnley away at 18. So in the Championship.
Yeah. So within 3.5 years, you'd gone from being a defender for Tottenham to playing in the Championship.
For Wimbledon, and it was then the Wimbledon, and then the following season, that's when they moved to Milton Keynes and changed their name to MK Dons.
Yeah, and you stuck with the club, obviously. Was that everyone in your team?
So yeah, I mean, because I was so young, you didn't really know any different. You just thought, oh, this is like, you just kind of, okay, the team's getting bought or moved 60 miles away. It's just because you were assets of the club, you just had to move with it. You know, they found your relocation, etc. And I look back now, I think that is bonkers. Imagine that, like, I can't even imagine that happening now to another team.
It's like a franchise in America.
Well, that's essentially what it is, and obviously MK Dons get a lot of stick for that.
Yep.
But I think Pete had a dream of, okay, this team, if Wimbledon stayed at Selhurst Park, they were going bust. They were losing 10 grand or something like that every day.
Yeah.
They didn't have, and Pete said, look, I've got a chance to kind of move your club to Milton Keynes. Milton Keynes hasn't got a football team. It's becoming a big city.
Yeah.
It's got a chance to kind of prosper there, have a foundation.
New fan base,
and Milton Keynes is one of the places where it's got loads of people from Scotland, Liverpool, Birmingham. It's
met in the middle.
Yeah, so they had another generation underneath that, and it will take 20, probably 30 years for the club to kind of, and they need success as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's been a tough time for them on and off the pitch recently.
Yeah.
And obviously, I managed to, playing that team, that we did get to the Championship. We just needed to stay there, which we couldn't do.
Yeah.
But they have got the foundations for it to be a Premier League club one day.
Yeah.
When that'll be, obviously, I don't know.
So obviously with the transition, though, it helped you because it fast-tracked you almost as well, because not everyone stayed with the club, but it quickly escalated with another move for you to Liverpool. So you've gone from like not playing in goal to getting scouted by Liverpool, and then I think I've read in the report he went on trial and that for a not very long time, but
to Liverpool, yeah. So I mean, it was 17, 18 when I actually moved up.
Yeah.
I think just turned 18, and then I was there for another 18 months where I was I played, I think it's 25, 26 games, and then Liverpool come in and said, we're looking for a 23s goalkeeper essentially now, a reserve team goalkeeper. Like, would you be interested to come up for a trial? So I went up there for 4 or 5 days, and they said, yeah, we'll take you. So like that was just like, they'd won the Champions League in the 2005, and I went up there in the November, December, and then I was signing in January.
That's crazy.
So 6 months after they won the Champions League, I was just, it was just surreal. First day I was in there, walked around the corner, and I turned around the corner, and Steven Gerrard was walking towards me, and I was like, and I felt like saying, I used to slide tackle my brother in the garden and pretend I was going to be you.
Yeah,
like,
shout your name.
Yeah, exactly. So it was just a really strange thing to happen at the time, and I think I wish I'd got over that being starstruck a lot sooner than I did. I mean, I was there 4.5 years. Obviously, went on loan at different clubs in that time, but it took me a good while to think I'm actually at Liverpool. Like, you're good enough to be here.
Yeah,
I did find it tough because I wouldn't have goalkeeping training. So the reserve team
didn't
have a full-time goalkeeping coach. So I was getting goalkeeping training once every 3 weeks.
But you was just in and about the lads.
In and about
training with
lads, I
them.
was doing possessions, so I was running. I was fit. I was probably the fittest I've ever been.
Yeah.
Because I was running around doing all the right, and then I'd have to go and goal, and I don't feel like I did myself justice. So that made it a little bit tougher for me.
Yeah.
And I look back now and think it was really tough at the time because basically I was an outfield player.
Yeah.
And then when they needed a goalkeeper, they just said, right, go and get in goal, and they expected you to be
Good.
really good,
Yeah.
and you weren't getting your hands on the ball whatsoever. But then, after that first kind of period, I look back on it, I think that actually made me mentally tough because I knew I could go without it and then still get by. Okay, it's not ideal,
Yeah.
but then for the rest of my career, I think, right, I've been through that tough time.
True. Yeah.
That will teach me that you can get through a lot of things.
See, when you was training with the under-23s as an outfield player, technically, would every now and then you get called up to the first team and then have to be a goalkeeper?
Yeah, so if there was an injury or suspension
Wow.
or something, and then I'd get one training session, and it was like, obviously Rafa Benitez was there at the time, and Jose Ochotorena, he used to play for Real Madrid, was the goalkeeping coach, and he only used to train with 3 goalkeepers. But every day I'll be knocking on his door. I said, Ocho, please let me train with you, please. And he goes, look, the manager doesn't like more than 3 goalkeepers and this and I said, look, I just need to. So every day I come in, and when I could see he was getting annoyed because I was asking so much in the end, but I just wanted to progress.
It's strange to hear that obviously at a club like Liverpool, obviously things have changed now, but even at that time, to say they didn't have an under-23 goalie coach and that it was halting your progression almost from being there.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, I know it was 2006, but then it almost that became irrelevant. But I think I was there 18 months and I'd had enough because I think they hadn't had the goalkeeping trade. I don't feel like I was progressing. I had a few loan clubs that wanted me. And I was due to go out on loan, but they signed a lad, Mikhail Mihailov, I think it was, Bulgarian goalkeeper, same age as me. Signed him on decent money, I think it was a couple of mil at the time, so that was a big deal. But the only problem was, it was in the pre-season, I'd already said, look, can I go out on loan? They went, yeah. He said that the goalkeeper's coming in, but he's having problems with his visa. So we're going to need you to go to Hong Kong. At this time, Ocho, the goalkeeping coach, had left, and Xavi Valero, who's now the West Ham goalkeeping coach, just came in, and it was his first job. So he said, look, you're going to have to go to Hong Kong and be there for 10 days, I think it was. And I went there for 10 days in Hong Kong, and I remember sitting on the plane on the way back with Xavi and Rafa, and I said, look, Dave, we've been really impressed with how you've come on. You've trained with us for 10 days. We want you to be the 3rd choice this year for Liverpool. But I was so angry that I kind of been left to my own devices. That I was like, no, my mind's made up.
Games. I want to go out and play.
I want to go and play now. You haven't helped me whatsoever. And Xavi said, I haven't been here. But this will be different. You're going to be with us all the time. And I was like, no. And Rafa was trying to explain to me. He said, Dave, this is like you going to university now.
Yep.
And you're going to get all the training from Xavi and being with the first team, and this is going to develop your career. And I was like, no. I was just so ignorant, because I was so angry. And he was like, look, Dave, you're staying, and that's it. And I went, all right then. So I was like, what can you do? But
that year you did get fast tracked.
So I got fast tracked, and I trained with the first team every day. And again, I'd be in possessions, and I'd be running up against Steven Gerrard, Alonso, Mascherano. I'd be playing in midfield and stuff, and I'd be like, this is weird. I'd see these week in, week out on match of the day, and I'm training every day in possessions, and then have to go and do the goalkeeping training after that.
Yeah.
And again, that was really tough. Physically and mentally, and you didn't get days off because it was in Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup. There was football, obviously the Premier League all the time. So it was 3 weeks in straight, and then you get maybe 2 days off. But I'd just sleep through my alarm because I'd be so physically and mentally drained.
Just put so much in every day.
Yeah.
I want to go on to your loan moves, but every loan move seemed to end up you going back to Liverpool and being on a bench for an important game, Champions League, or.
I probably don't really feel like that now, but the clubs that I went back, and I remember being on the bench for Liverpool in the Champions League, and they beat Besiktas, I think it was 8-0, and I just couldn't believe I was on the bench in the Champions League. And I can't remember, the number 2 was injured at the time.
Tanjay.
Yeah. So, and I think actually I don't know where Pepe played in one as well. There was one away at the Ataturk Stadium. So that was like pretty special. So yeah, there's so many things I look back and Charles, he played in the Barnsley game that they lost.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, oh God, this don't look good, does it? Yeah. So I remember being on the bench, probably just under 20 times, but it was all a really good experience for me.
Yeah, obviously at the time you don't appreciate them almost. It's because you're involved in that environment. But when you now look back at your career, you must look at it and go, oh my God, I was actually that's mad.
Yeah. I think that's the power of youth. Sometimes ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Because you always think, I'm either going to be here forever, or I'm going to get another chance. So that's what you have in your side. You don't have the experience, but you have the belief in yourself.
And you're always thinking, what's next?
That's right. Yeah.
Constantly, aren't you?
When you get to our age, you're thinking, right, I've got to savor every single moment. And that's what I think I've found since I was 30, that 5 years ago, I nearly retired. So I could have been, I was in between MK Dons and going to Millwall. And like I said, we spoke about signing late for clubs. I was thinking, nothing comes up, I'm going to have to retire it. Yeah. And then within 2 years later, I played in the Premier League. And I've never, ever thought, I give up when I was 25, I think 26. Of that dream.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
yeah. You never know, mate. This game, you never know.
Right, let's go back to your loans anyway. Right, so Accrington Stanley didn't go so well the first game.
I could not believe...
I didn't know this bit until I read it earlier.
Yeah,
this is unbelievable.
I don't know how you found this, to be fair, but got your research. Yeah, really good research, mate.
I do my job.
So I've just signed for Accrington. It was like the first loan move, first time I've been out of Liverpool. And I think it was like early March time. So the pitches were just starting to firm up, but then obviously had the winter traffic on it where, they were a bit uneven, etc. And I remember being on it 4 or 5 minutes into the game and the ball started coming out. And as I stepped back, my foot went down like a pothole and I just went bang straight over. And when you hear that click in your ear, you think, right, I've popped. Even though it was in my ankle, I've definitely popped something there. And it went through me and I just sat down. I thought, nah, this can't be happening. Maybe I can get through this game. And I went on for about another minute and I looked down and I could see the swelling coming over my ankle, over my boot. And I just thought, I can't. This is so embarrassing, but I've got to come off.
And you hadn't touched the ball yet?
I hadn't even touched the ball. You couldn't make it up, honestly. So I just put my hand up and I said, look, I've got to come off. And I was getting booed from the Accrington fans. Because you can imagine, I think he's just thrown one in it.
Yeah, it's not touched the ball. You don't want it.
No, that's it. And I come off, and then obviously I was sitting there, and I could see the swelling getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I managed to get back. I think it was in like 2.5, 3 weeks, and they still wanted me back, thank God.
Yep.
But I played the last 10 games of that season under John Coleman, and had a great time, and it was a great experience.
That was a learning curve.
And that was definitely a learning curve of being at obviously the Champions League champions, then going to Accrington. But it was great for me, definitely.
Yeah. Those loan moves, I'm going to go on to Leicester now, right, that you tried to sign for permanently. But when you go out on loan and you get playing again, when you haven't been playing, you just end up buzzing off it. You buzz off every game, even the feeling after every game, and you can't wait for the next one. Yeah, I think that obviously most goalkeepers that go out on loan now, it's so important for their learning. I touch on it a lot on the podcast, but it's invaluable. Yeah. I mean, I was lucky to probably get that loan because obviously I'd only been at Accrington. I'm probably up and coming. Okay, I've done okay there. Then to go to a team like Leicester, who had just been relegated, obviously, to League One. Yep. It's a big old club. They were still getting 20,000 every week. Obviously, like Sheffield United, similar kind of club, aren't they? Massive clubs.
Yeah. So I found that first couple of months really tough because I was still learning the game. Yeah. I was only 21 at the time. So you're going to be making mistakes. But they probably wanted an already made goalkeeper. So there were some goals that I thought, I could have done maybe better than that. But I still felt like I was still doing okay. And I was in and out, I think. I played the first 10, 15 games. And then I came out. And then Henderson came in. And then I started playing again. But then unfortunately, back in February, I got an injury. So they asked me, would you want to come back? I said, yeah, I've loved playing at a big club. Obviously, Nigel Pearson at the time was a good manager. So I said, look, if Leicester want me, then, I'd love to stay. But, if I've got to go back to Liverpool, then that's fine and carry on my progression there. That was a kind of the interview, I think that interview come out and they said that Dave Martin wants to leave, and I was just like, no, I didn't say that.
Leicester's journey after that was pretty good as well, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I think Chris will come in after the next following season, done really well, and yeah, they went from one strength to the other, and then Premier League champions after that. Started from me, obviously,
Yeah, laid the foundations, mate.
Yeah.
Right, and then obviously you've had loan moves at Tranmere, Leeds, and Derby.
Yeah.
How difficult is it when you first go into a new dressing room of a new club?
Yeah, I think...
especially when you're young.
Obviously I'm still young, so you're still trying to find your way, thinking, right, am I a good goalkeeper? Like, I wish I had more belief in myself through my career. And going into dressing rooms, I was never loud, or I was just trying to be, normal, really.
Yeah.
So, I think Tranmere was the one that... I think I hadn't played for a while, and they just said, look, the goalkeeper, Luke Daniels, had just been sent off, I believe. So, you can come in for a couple games.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, great. Like, and it was just playing again. I think little Aaron Cresswell, that's the first time I met Cress.
Nice.
He was a little baby there then. And then, yeah, so like that was just good just to get some games and then go out. And then, like Derby, again, the same thing happened where I think Bywater had a slight injury with his back.
Yep.
And I came in for 2 games and did okay. Leeds was another thing where Casper Ankergan was, I think he won't mind me saying this, but he was going through a bit of a rough time. But then as soon as I walked through the door, like he was like Schmeichel again. Like
no way,
he was really
just
really
turned
good.
it back on again.
Just like very unorthodox goalkeeper, but lovely, great lad. But a good goalie as well.
Some people need that pressure though to get the best out of themselves, and probably you pushing him then.
Yeah, I'd like to think so. That I felt that I came in and I was trying to get into that team.
Yep.
No matter what, but I was there 3 months, and after probably the first month, I could see how Casper was playing. I was thinking, this I'm not going to play, but I loved being in that. I had Snodgrass there, the Bradley Johnson. Some really big characters, and I just love being in that dressing room. That was one of my favourite dressing rooms.
Snoddy's funny, isn't he?
Oh, mate, great top guy. Yeah, like,
no prank calls on you, no?
Yeah, no, he done me.
Did he do you?
Done me a
this
kip, but honestly, it is very, what's the word? It might be censored a little bit.
Oh, yeah? Oh.
Well, I might have to just leave a few names out.
Do that. Let's do that.
So we was in Leeds, and I was in the change room in the shower one day, and I was with one of the boys, and he's like, Dave, he goes, what's this? Like, and he obviously showed his old boy, and I went, mate, that don't look good. Like, and he was like, what should I do? I said, you need to go and get it checked out. He's like, I don't know. I said, you need to go and get it done. Like, I said, look, I'll even come with you. I'll sort it out for you.
Bit of comfort.
Yeah, a bit of comfort, and I'll get checked myself. Like, not thinking anything, just for a bit of moral support.
Yeah,
like.
Good
So
guy, you, mate. Great guy.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm just trying to be a good mate. So I went in there and didn't think anything of it. And it was about a week later, there was a phone call from like a known number, and I was in Liverpool at the time. And I was standing next to my girlfriend at the time, and I just phoned, and this strange accent. It was like, is it David Martin? I was just like, yeah. He said, well, I've got a little bit of bad news for you. You've got, I can't remember what he said. It was just like, you've got STD yeah. And I was like, no, like that. And my missus straight away, obviously I couldn't help my reaction. She goes, what is it? Like that. I was just like, oh no, this couldn't happen at the worst time.
Nothing?
Right,
Nothing?
yeah. And I was just like, look, okay, right. And the phone, because I had really bad signal in my flat in Liverpool, and it kept on breaking up in and out. So that made it even better for him, I think.
Yeah.
And it kept on going on, and I was trying, like, obviously he was calling me back saying, look, you need to come back to Leeds now and get this thing. I was like, I can't get back to Leeds now. Like, can you not prescribe me something? And I was all the time thinking, I've got now. She knows something's up.
Yeah, I've got to make an excuse.
I've just got to tell her the truth.
Yeah.
And the thing is, I was thinking, how is it possible? Like, I'm actually, a genuine guy.
Yeah.
So, like, I was thinking, what am I going to do here now? So I put the phone down, and she's like, what's happened? And I said, look, I've just had a phone call. I went with so-and-so, like, to get tested. And they said, I've got something. I don't know how long I've had it or whatever. So just, it's good that I know now, like, trying to spin it in a positive light.
He's killed you.
She's crying. Like, she's thinking,
he's
you've been
killed
cheated.
you.
I was like, I haven't done anything. Like, anyway, the phone goes again, and him and this other lad are howling in the background, thinking, and I'm like, you idiots! Like, I'm standing next to my missus here, she's crying her eyes out, and you're thinking it's funny, like. So he had to, obviously Snoddy called her, and she was going mad. Like,
he's done so many people, by the way.
He's so good at it.
Yeah,
he's so. I've been in obviously in West Ham's dressing room, and he's like, honestly, I'm thinking he's looking right. I'm looking right at him, and he's got a different voice. I would never even know it was him.
He's done it to so many people. I'd love to have like the collection of all of his prank calls.
He's brilliant, man. Brilliant guy.
That's so class, mate. Thanks for telling that story. Awkward, but it's a really good story, mate.
No, yeah.
Have you done any weird initiations, or do you hate the singing? I hate the singing. By the way.
I don't like it, but it's just one of the things that you think if it's there, you just got to get it done.
Yeah, I normally try and like do like a comedy one, or like just sing like a stupid Disney song that no one's going to enjoy, or they'll know it's crap.
Yeah. No, I've got just one song, and it's a Beatles song, because obviously Dad growing up. I'm not going to sing it now. So.
Yeah, you don't have to sing, mate. It's all with me.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to get onto our quiz. I don't know if you've heard our goalie or no goalie quiz.
What a save from Mark Howard.
So
right, okay.
I'm going to give you 5 names that are current international goalkeepers.
I'm really useless at this.
You'll say goalkeeper, and I'll give you 5 names from people around the world that are either their stage names or something from a film or a song, or so it's 5 other names, okay? And they're no goalkeepers.
Okay, so, all right, okay.
So it's 1 point. 1 point for each answer. Everyone can head over to YouTube and check out our leaderboard, right? I think you do all right, mate. This is a 50-50 guess. Don't worry about it. It's difficult. Right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yep. Right, number 1, David Omarigi.
Goalkeeper.
He is not a goalkeeper. He's British rapper Dave.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, send me a location.
Yes.
Nice.
I listen to him every day as well.
You actually do, yeah. Nice. Yeah. Right, that's number 1. Right, number 2, Igor Shatsky.
Goalkeeper.
He is a goalkeeper, mate. He is a Kazakhstan national goalkeeper. Plays for Shakhtar.
Yes.
Yeah. 1 out of 2. Hey, at least you're off the mark now. You can relax now. Right, number 3, Carlos Estevez.
See, that sounds familiar. Probably mud myself right off for that now. Goalkeeper.
Charlie Sheen is not a goalkeeper.
Oh, no.
Yep. His real name is Carlos.
That's why it rings a bell.
Estevez. Mate, I do a lot of research into these and find weird and wonderful names.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah. Right, number 4, Horatio Moldovan.
Goalkeeper.
He is a goalkeeper from Romania.
Right.
I thought the Moldovan would absolutely throw you off, mate. Yeah, he done well there. Yeah, he plays for Rapid Bucharesti.
Right.
All right, number 5, Omri Glazer.
No.
He is a goalkeeper.
Dominic.
Israel and Hapoel Beersheba.
Glazier. Right. Okay.
Still on 2, mate. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Number 6, Newton Daniels.
No.
He isn't. You say no goalkeeper?
No goalkeeper.
No goalkeeper. That's better.
Yeah.
Right. The late magician Paul Daniels.
Ah.
You'd know who that is.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay. Well, of that age.
Yeah.
And Debbie McGee.
Yeah.
Number 7, Henry Bonello.
Yes. Goalkeeper.
He is a goalkeeper. You're on fire now. He's on the roll now. From Malta and Hamrun, goalkeeper. Right. Sorry. Right. Number 8, Ethan Hunt.
He's no goalkeeper.
Why?
Because isn't an actor, no?
From
No?
what?
No, I know that name, but I'm sure it's not football.
He is a Tom Cruise character in Mission
Yeah, that's
Impossible.
what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. I'm trying to trick you.
Right,
Because you know the name. You would have heard of it before, which makes
and I
you
think he's not a goalkeeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Number 9, Ving Rames. Yeah, Ving Rames. Yeah? Yeah.
No, that's Ving Rhames. No,
Rames?
Ving Rhames.
Do you know who that is?
Yeah.
Who?
Yeah, he's the big guy.
Yeah,
the actor.
He's the actor in Mission Impossible.
That's it.
Upper
Yeah,
Coast Star,
yeah. In Rams, I know that.
I tried to trick you there. He plays Agent Luther Stickle.
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen him in loads of films. Good actor.
Good actor as well, isn't he?
Yeah.
I always try and chuck in a little curveball one.
Yeah.
Right, number 10, Moses Ramirez.
Ramirez. Yeah. Say goalkeeper.
Goalkeeper? He is a goalkeeper, mate. I actually haven't wrote down what team he plays for here. He plays for Independiente del Valle. Love that. Mate, 7 out of 10. Got to be happy with that.
Yeah, okay,
I'll take
that. I'll take that, yeah. Ecuador, before South America. Huh?
Yeah. Nice, mate. Ecuador goalie.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Enjoyed that, actually.
Yeah. Everyone, it tricks people. It's not. It's meant to be just a bit of tongue in cheek.
That was like penalties in the end, when it was like, right, where's he going, left or right?
Is there a pattern?
That's it. That was good, a pattern.
Right, let's go back to your move back to MK Dons then. Bit of a club legend now, really.
Yeah, wow.
330 games you made in that spell, over 9 seasons. You obviously had a clear affection for the club and loved it there.
Yeah, again, it changed so much from the National Hockey Stadium to then coming back from Liverpool to going, right, I'm going to a team that's just building, at the time, it could potentially going to be a 30,000 seater stadium. And I think everyone looks at that from the outside and goes like, wow, like it's going places, isn't it?
Yeah.
But you don't realise the infrastructure is so important. And I went there and I'm thinking, right, I thought I was signing for Paul Ince. By the time I come back for pre-season, he'd gone. So I was, it was Carl Robinson's technically his first signing. And, they'd gone from, right, we're going for it, when I was first signed, to all of a sudden, right, we're cutting the budget a little bit. So I was like, right, okay. So we're in League One. I thought, right, this could be a good chance to play good football in a good stadium. I'm an hour away from London, and they're going to play good football. Didn't turn out. The first 6 months were really tough. So that time when I said it at Liverpool, I had a really tough time there. I had equally probably just as tough time playing week in, week out. I had Willie Garay.
Yeah. I was at Swansea with him for a month.
Right, you've been everywhere, haven't you?
Yeah, I have. Yeah. I'm a proper journeyman.
Yeah. And I found the relationship a little bit tough. I think when I first come in, obviously, I can understand from his point of view. He's 35, 36 at the time, and a young pup coming in. And speaking terms, it wasn't a lot of it, but I think
he didn't
still
speak great English anyway.
No,
being French and that.
But no. I think on the whole he's a good guy. But I understand sometimes the emotions get the better of you, etc.
Probably just an older keeper, bit stubborn, that was knowing the script almost, that you've been brought in to replace him long term. Yeah,
and I think he didn't probably not react right, but if he'd probably said, right, I'm going to still give it everything in training every day, which he did, and be civil with everyone, I think probably a couple months into my first spell, like my second spell back, there was potential he could have probably come in and played.
Right.
Because it wasn't going great on the pitch. I think we went 20, I think it was like 12 games or something. We hadn't won away from home.
Yeah.
We're doing okay at home. So it was like, it was quite, near the bottom end of the table. And I did find it really tough. I think the manager come out even in public and said, he's finding it really tough. He needs to worry about his place. And I was low. I was really low. And I don't think I really needed that. Was the only thing I said about Carl, was that I didn't need that at that time.
Yeah.
I needed support, if anything. But again, I look back at that now and I think that is such a great experience for me to then carry on for the rest of my career.
Yeah.
It wasn't nice at the time, but then it got to December.
Did he stick with you though?
Stuck with me.
See, that in itself, even though he's put you down a bit.
Yeah.
By him carrying on playing you, surely that shows the faith he still had in you.
Well, yeah, I think if Willie was in and around it at that point, I think there would have been a different decision to make. So I was lucky in that respect, in my terms. If Willie probably had said, no, I'm going to give it a go and be on the bench, and I think there could have been a change. But he stuck with me for one reason or another. Then it got to December, January, and my performances started getting better. The team started playing better. And in the end, we ended up getting to the playoffs that year. So we went on a run where we were just smashing teams, or not smashing teams, but we were nicking 1-0 wins here. Daniel Powers' time was scored 7-8 goals. Yeah. But it would always get 1-0 and we're keeping good clean sheets because we had a good back line. And I felt like I found my role within that. That I got the balance right of helping them, but then also protecting the goal,
Yeah.
And that was an important experience for me. And I found it kind of carried that for the next 7 years while I was at MK.
Because at that time in League One especially, there was only really you and Wes Foderingham that played out from the back. So like, obviously I'd come up against you a few times already in my career and that, and every time we played against you, it's like, you knew it would be a total contrast in the way that both teams played. And I've loved doing that and seeing the way that you got to play, because I miss doing that from my youth team days. Yeah. It was almost like a bit of sweet. I was going, I'd love to try that.
Yeah. And it was some of the balls sometimes, and he'd want me to like thread it through like two strikers or a left wing and a centre forward, and I'd be going, that's tight, and he's like, play it, like, and then you just play it and it would come off. Like, good midfielders in there who would always try and get on the ball, like Darren Potter, like honestly he was like Rolls Royce in there. He used to be always showing honest as anything and good player.
Just knew where to turn out and
just knew. So I knew sometimes I'm thinking when the ball's coming to me, I'm thinking I haven't got an option on here. But I knew once if I had a touch or moved it, they were trying to find somewhere where they could receive it. So whether I played it to them one touch, that they could pop it off one touch, or whether they needed a touch, that was always kind of the next decision I had to make.
Was that all drilled into you though in training? Was you constantly working on that's how we play and that's it?
Yeah, we worked a lot. And like I said, fair play to Carl is that he always gave us belief. Like, I don't care. I want you to play. If you make a mistake, I'm going to take responsibility. So that was fair play to him in that aspect.
And talk about his designer clothing.
Yeah.
When I've spoke to Carl a few times, he loves to mention that he's got a nice pair of trainers on or something like that.
Yeah. No, I can imagine that. Definitely.
It's with Jay Spearing as well. That was the first time I come across it. I was like, oh my God, Jay, did he just really say that about his trainers? And Jay was cracking, that's what Carl's like a bit.
I'm not surprised, mate. Yeah.
Was it hard to leave the club after, like, or did you feel like you?
I think I felt that the first 2 years we got in the playoffs.
Yep.
We got beat by Peterborough the first year, Huddersfield the second. So we had a good team, but just couldn't quite get over the line for one reason or another. And then the next two were really tough. Like we were mid-table, like fighting near the bottom at some stages. And then it was the fifth year, Mr. Dele Ali then came through.
Yeah.
And I remember playing against Sheffield United. I think you would have been playing.
Yeah, I probably would have been.
Yeah, and you did really well all game, and you kind of sat in. You had a really good foundation. I don't know, it was like a 4-4-2, and we couldn't break you down. And it was one, I can't remember who shut me down. Someone came out and pressed me, and I played it inside to Del, and then Del just did his magic, got up the pitch, and we ended up scoring. And I remember Michael Doyle.
Yeah, Michael Doyle, centre midfielder.
Went mental at the guy that pressed, and it was like, that's not what we've been planned to do.
Yeah.
You've just killed us. And he was going mental at this one player that had pressed, and that's what we needed. We needed someone to press,
break that line,
to break the lines and play round. So that season we were just, we beat Swindon, and they were up there, like they were fighting for it.
Yep.
And obviously Preston. It went down to the last game of the season. We beat Yeovil 5-1, I think it was, and we needed Colchester, who were fighting for survival, to beat Preston.
Right.
And it happened, and that was a great feeling.
Yeah.
Like, that's one of my top feelings of.
Did you know that Delhi then was special?
So yeah, we could see that season that as soon as he got with better players, he was then going to kick off.
Yeah.
Not to the level that he did, like that pre-season. He went on to like playing. I think it was Real Madrid in pre-season. He nutmegs Modric. So like. That's just the type of guy he was.
Yeah.
Like Akinfenwa wanted to fight him at half time because he used to do this thing where a free kick would be given against him. He'd be talking to the referee. He's like, what? And one of their players was going to pick up the ball, and as they went to pick up, he just rolled it through their legs.
I remember that.
And Akinfenwa wanted to fight him, and they was counting down the minutes to get to half time to say like he was going to batter him, but Del just smiled. That's what Del does. To be fair, and that last season, I felt like. We fought relegation that last season. I thought, right, it's time for me to go. And I knew at the start of the season, I had one more year left on my deal.
Yeah.
I bought a house down in London because I thought, well, this is going to be my base now.
Yeah.
Wherever I go, I go. And I thought I had a club in that off season. It didn't quite materialise. And that's when I had that period of 2 months, 3 months. I didn't have a club.
Yeah, I was talking about this earlier that I've done a couple of seasons where you miss a pre-season and you're waiting for a club and you get offers and you're like, it's not really right for my situation, or the finances don't marry up to where you think you should be. It's a hard time.
Yeah.
It's a lonely time as well.
Yeah.
What did you do through that period?
So I just trained so hard. And I was lucky enough, I was training with Charlton, with Lee Turner at the time. And again, goalkeeping fitness-wise, that's probably as fit as I've ever been. So I knew I had the foundation to then go in. And, you know, I didn't think I was going to get a club. And I was thinking about retiring.
At 30 years old? Yeah.
At 30, yeah, crazy. And it got to a stage where Charlton were offering me a contract, and it was terrible. And they said, look, just do it till January. And I was lucky, actually, that the deal fell through at the last minute, because we had let's just say, I can't exactly tell you why, but we had a technical issue with my agent. And he didn't answer the phone. And it was...
I know this story.
Dylan Phillips was due to go to Cheltenham and Gary Johnson gave 10 o'clock deadline. Because my agent never answered the call, the deadline got broke, and he went, no, deal's off, I'm signing Scott Flinders.
Yeah.
So Scott Flinders went there, killed the deal at Charlton. I was like, oh, thank God, that took that out of my hands. I was almost relieved that he took
you didn't want to take it.
I didn't want to take it, and that showed me that I didn't want to take it.
See, when you think, I'm being patient, like something will come off, and then all of a sudden you're like, this is a big gamble.
Yeah.
I'm either not coming back from this, or I'm going to have to accept something I don't want to do, or a contract I don't want.
Yeah. I had a little 6-month-old little girl at the time, and I was thinking, I just bought a new house, obviously, in London, so I'm thinking, what am I actually going to do here?
Yeah.
And then, lucky enough, 2 days later, Millwall said, right, we'll dub you what you were getting offered at Charlton, and you'll come in as a number 2 in the Championship. I was like, oh my God, like how lucky is that? Like,
just unbelievable timing.
So, you know, I know this big rivalry with Millwall, West Ham, and you know, you've got to be careful what you say sometimes. But to them to give me that olive branch, then give myself for 2 years, and I did enjoy it. Being at Millwall, the lads in that dressing room were really good, and they had really good success that first year being on the bench.
Oh, a lot of my family are Millwall fans,
right.
And go to Millwall a lot, right?
Yeah.
So what I've always got from going to Millwall games myself and that is that it's such a horrible environment that only the teams with a strong dressing room that stick together will survive there. Yeah. And Millwall teams, notoriously, it's like they make it even harder. Yeah. And it must be because of, like you saying, the dressing room, you enjoy it, you get a good set of lads together. Yeah. And it makes it double hard at the Den. Yeah. Yeah, no, it is. There's big personalities in that dressing room. And again, it goes to, I think that's why West Ham and Millwall clash so much, because it is tribal. They love their teams. And when you are one of them, you're one of them. Like, you know, if you're going, you're basically going to war for them every time you're on the pitch. Proper fight, isn't it? Yeah. And that's why I've got to respect it almost. So yeah, I had a really good 2 years there because of it. Yeah. Right. Now let's go on to West Ham. Then. Not many people cross from Millwall to West Ham. No, I wouldn't advise you to do it. No, definitely not. Especially when you've been brought up West Ham. So, unbeknown to me, my old goalkeeping coach at Liverpool, that I said that I wanted to leave, and I was blaming him for him only being there 10 days, and he gave me a great, kind of university degree of being at Liverpool. Was now at West Ham with Manuel Pellegrini, and it was a time where I didn't have a club at the start of the season. He'd just been signed, and I just give him a text, just say, look, if you need someone. To come in and be a third choice or whatever, I know I'm more than capable of doing it. And he didn't say no, and he didn't say yeah. And then obviously watched my progress through that season. Yeah. At that last season I was at Millwall. Yeah. And it got to the back end, and I had a really tough time, and Neil had brought Ben Amos in. Yes. And was played Ben Amos at the start, and obviously dropped. No, so I think he played Jordan's first. Then, Jordan Archer, yeah. Jordan Archer. Then started playing Ben because it wasn't going great that second season I was there. And then put Jordan back in. So it was and I'd been kind of pushed to third. And I was thinking, come on, give me a game. I just want to play. But I think Neil had already made his mind up because I didn't quite kick far enough for him. That wasn't for him. So I was just waiting for a club, and this went until January. And I remember having the conversation with Neil on New Year's Eve,
was like, look, Dave, you need to kind of leave. For you and for me, like, your careers need to kind of part at this point. Yeah. So I felt a little bit down in the dumps, and remember being like a little bit upset. New Year's Eve night, like, I was with my missus. I think I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, Millwall don't want me. I haven't played any games like up to this point. Yeah. So I need to find a club that's going to take me. And there was a few clubs up north, and again, it was the same thing of thinking, location, are they going to pay enough? Like, so it's that worry, even though I had 6 months left on my contract. 4 days in to the new year, so for 5th of January, it was me actually. I hit a half volley at Ben Amos, and he hit him on the end of the finger and just like broke his finger. Oh. So I've gone from like, it's like, well, you're on the bench now. So I was thinking, all right, okay. And then this went on for another 5 weeks where Ben was getting back to fitness. He'd had an operation, and I remember walking out, and it wasn't going well. Like, Jordan was doing okay, but the team wasn't playing great. And I was walking out, and Neil pulled Jordan, and I knew Ben was just getting back training fit. And I thought, oh, that don't sound good like that. So I walked down to LT, Lee Turner, the goalie coach, and I said, and he went, has he told you, the manager? I went, oh, he's not bombed me to third choice again, has he? He went, no, you're playing tomorrow at Birmingham. I went, what? He went, yeah, you're starting tomorrow.
Curveball.
I was like, I did not see that coming, but I was like, all right, buzzing. Like, I haven't played a lot of games. I've just been training really hard. I've got nothing to lose. Yeah. Like, let's go and play. We end up winning 2-0 away at Birmingham.
Tough place to go.
Yeah. And I just couldn't believe it. Like, I was absolutely buzzing. And then we had a decent cup run. So we weren't doing so great in the league, but we had a decent cup run in the FA Cup. And we had Brighton on, I think it was 3 days later. And I think because you mentally, I think a lot of people don't realise, I said, like, they take the mickey out of goalkeepers about, physically it's not that hard. Obviously, I think the kicking is the hardest thing, isn't it? Yeah, you're not running around essentially, but it's the mental side of it.
Yep.
That I find as I've got older is this you need to keep that stamina up.
Yep.
Because you get to like 7-8 games and you get a little bit tired.
Yep.
And we've spoke about it before, there's loads of things that, family, travelling, blah,
loads
blah,
of
blah.
factors, yeah.
So I was going to this game, I think I feel really tired going into this game. And the game was going really well. We were 2-0 up to Brighton at the time at Millwall, so at the Den. So I was thinking, right, this is really good, but I'm starting to feel it's got to about 70th minute, and I'm feeling really, really like I need to wake myself up or something, like, spray water on my face. Because I could actually feel.
It's hard to come out of that as well.
No, it was like a trance almost. So I'd gone playing no football for best part of 18 months. I think I played Villa away, and there was a couple of cup games, etc. So I hadn't really had any amount of football. Anyway, so it gets they get back one back, so it's 2-1, and I think in the 90th minute they had a free kick, and Solly March puts one in, and this is the quarterfinals of the FA Cup that we're in. And I genuinely, when it first got put in, I thought, this is going wide and over. But then it kept on cutting, and I'd already made my decision. And for some reason, I just didn't put my hands up. And I remember the feeling. I heard that it hit the back of the net because it was quiet. Like that. Then through the game, I was trying to shout people 5 yards away from me, and they couldn't hear me because the noise, the atmosphere at the Den. It was deadly silent. And then I heard the cheer from behind the Brighton fans. And then I just, to this day, I can still remember all the lads' faces of my teammates looking at me. And the feeling was just...
That's the worst feeling, that you've let them down, isn't it?
That's it. That's how I felt in that moment. The manager, and I'd let the lads down, like the 90th minute. So I had to get over it for the next 30 minutes and go to penalties. And we lost on penalties. And I can't really remember a lower moment in my career than that moment.
Of course, yeah.
So I was 33 at the time.
After not playing for 18 months and that, you get thrust back into that, and then it's...
And then we had an international break that week.
Oh no, that's the worst as well.
So I had 2 weeks thinking, am I going to
play?
Dwelling on it. But to be fair to Neil, he pulled me straight after the game. He goes, Dave, like, don't worry about that. He says, you're going to play for me now, from now to the rest of the season.
No way.
Like, straight away. Like, and I remember this conversation. We sat on the bed in the physio room, like the physio beds, and he was just like, "Don't worry, like, you're playing for me the rest of it." And we had 10 games to go, and we were still in the shit basically. So we had Leeds away the next game, and I thought, right, I've just got to put caffeine in, like, Got to the second half, got cramp in both calves.
Oh no!
But during that, I saved the penalty from Bamford. It went really well. Took a couple of crosses. Felt really like I was involved in the game.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it. We lost 3-2, but it was like a great game to play at Ellen Road with all Millwall and Leeds.
Yeah.
And end up playing the next 10 games. We got wins. We beat like West Brom. I can't remember who else we beat, but we had some really good games. I think we won 3 out of the last 10 and drew a couple.
Yeah.
We got a really good draw away for Sheffield United.
Yeah.
Away last minute, so we did enough to keep up.
Yep.
And all the time I was speaking to the goalkeeping coach, saying not saying yes or no either way, and it was
Not
still
committing
like
to your future.
in there. And then all of a sudden I've gone from not having anything in January and having all that fear and all that worry to them thinking, right, there's potentially something here at Millwall, which they offered me something.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like midway through May, they said, look, there's a third choice role for you at West Ham if you want it. And I was like, this is not happening to me.
Crazy,
like
yeah.
this is. So I'd had a really good end, even though I had probably the worst moment of my career, to then finish off the last 10 games and then, be part of a team that kept Millwall up in the Championship. To then West Ham said, well, you can come here. You're not going to play, essentially, but you're going to have to be at it like every day in training. I'm like, it's my team. Like, I can't.
It's an opportunity you can't turn down.
Whether there was in the Premier League or League Two, I couldn't turn that down. So for me, and then Millwall said, all right, we're going to offer you more. So they offered me more to stay at Millwall, and I said, I still got to go. Like, it was just that feeling of thinking this was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So that's how that move kind of came about.
Yeah. Right, and I want to go on to the main bit of your West Ham stay, right? It's like football poetry, this, isn't it? Like when you made your debut eventually for West Ham, keeping a clean sheet against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think Ben will put it up probably, but the picture of you and your dad embracing after the game and like the raw emotion that's pouring out of you both, just an incredible moment. I think you probably had the whole nation just like, that is incredible, that moment.
Yeah. Yeah, obviously you can't write it and you dream about it. And the night before, I could tell you, like, I knew it was building for a long time because we went, I think it was 7 games. Yeah, 7 games. Crazy. 7 games without winning. So we'd lost, I think, 6 in a row. We drew to Bournemouth and then lost the next 6. And I knew Roberto was under serious pressure. So it got to the Tottenham game and I think he made a couple of errors again. I was thinking, right, he's considering playing me, the manager Pellegrini, and it was Nobes that actually came into the gym on the Wednesday, and I was doing my stretching, and Nobes came in, he sat next to me, goes, Dave, I've just been in Pello's office. I went, right. He said, you're playing Saturday. He says, but don't worry, mate, we ain't won there in 70 years, so you ain't got no chance. So cheers, Nobes.
It's quite nice that he broke it to you, though.
Yeah. That was Nobes. So he had that way of kind of joking, but it's a serious point, but joking. Yeah. So that
he's probably gone into the manager's office and went, you can't play Roberto, he's having one.
I don't know that conversation. You never know with Nobes. But yeah, no, he kind of primed me for it. And then it did turn out I was playing it. And that Friday night in that hotel in Chelsea, I had all them fears. And remember, 6 months before, I'd had the lowest moment of my career. So I was thinking, imagine that now. And what we were saying before about when you're young, ignorance is bliss. Yeah. And you always think you're going to get another chance. I knew this was my last chance. Yeah. Like, I'm going to be remembered. This is my club. I've got mates in the stand. I've got my dad in the stand. Like, I've got all these players that are under serious pressure. The manager, I think he was on, last thread of losing his job. So if we got battered and he'd made a big decision, put me in, third choice goalie that never played in the Premier League, like the pressure going into that, even my goalkeeping coach, like Xavi, like him to back me to go,
he's ready, do it.
Go and play him. Like, so I had a lot of stuff going on in my head during that game, and the moment where it changed, I think it was when I stepped on the pitch for the first time for the warm up, and I think it already gone out that in the team news that I was starting, and that's when I heard like the song that they used to sing for me. Yeah, and all of a sudden everything felt all right. Like
just at ease.
And there was about 5,000, I'd say, in that West Ham end, and they would we traveled, like West Ham really travelled well away, and they did not stop for 90 minutes, like singing that song,
backing you,
just you know, that, honestly, I get goosebumps now thinking about it.
That's
Like,
class, though.
like to have that support, like that. Everyone says, "Oh, supporters this and supporters that." That was support, and I guarantee you, I could not have done it without them.
Yeah.
That day of feeling I can't let these people down.
That's nice, though. That's a nice feeling that they've got your back and they wanted you to do well.
Yeah.
To have all of them basically propping you up if you fell down.
Yeah, that was it at Felt Time. And then to have that moment where I see John Moss was the referee that day, and he put the whistle to his lips and then blew the final whistle, and then Nose drops to his knees, like I was just like, yes, like that. And then I was looking up, I think I've just been a part of a team that's kept a clean sheet and got 3 points at Stamford Bridge. Like Aaron Cresswell, scored a great goal that day with his right foot.
Gets overlooked though because of your story.
And I felt so bad, and he still takes the mickey out of me now, because to him scoring a goal, it's not very often, but on his right foot as well, and he's got definitely a peg leg for a right foot. So. And then to have, I remember the whistle going and then just going to my knees and thinking, I can't believe this just happened. But within 2 seconds, it felt like every single lad was around me, picked me up, and I had obviously tears running down my face and thinking, this is the best moment in my life. Obviously, don't tell my wife and my kids.
No, exactly. They're not listening.
But and they shared it with me, and I think they knew how much it meant to me.
Yep.
And what the pressure I put on myself going to that game. Of course,
yeah. But even the raw emotion, but the nerves would have just came at you, and I bet you were shattered after that game.
Drained, absolutely drained. And then I was thinking, I see my goalkeeping coach, and I shared it with every player, and then I thought, right, I've got to go because the supporters were down the other end, our West Ham supporters, and I thought, how do I thank these people for supporting me? And it's just, you don't know what to do, so. Give the usual applause and thanks, and
felt like not enough though.
Yeah, you couldn't. As I said, you couldn't. And then obviously I see Dad at half time, and because the press box at Stamford Bridge is just behind the dugout, and Dad's obviously at TalkSport always used to have a press party because no one kind of left him. You couldn't go in the West Ham end; it would be a nightmare for him. And he looked white. I can only imagine what I was feeling. I knew I was feeling on the prep, but what he was feeling, he couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, it's uncontrollable.
And I thought, if there's one moment that I'm going to share with my dad, this is it.
Yeah,
and this isn't just for today. This is for all the times that I'd been low. I was retiring, 2 years before.
Every time he drove you to training, picked you up again.
Yeah. Like my mum as well. My mum at home was that, and I've got a great story about my little niece, saying, what's going on? She said, Dave's crying, and my little niece was like, Mum, Nanny, why are you crying? Because she was genuinely in emotion. So it was for all my family.
Yeah.
They knew what it meant to the whole family, and I knew that, and that's that moment. I thought, I'm going.
Yeah.
And the security guys were like, Dave, we don't think you should do that. I was like, I'm going. They were like, all right then. So they obviously got me up there.
Yeah.
And I got to share that wonderful moment with
them.
them.
It's just a lovely moment.
Yeah.
I remember watching it at the time. I was like, that's just if any footballer out there has an opportunity to share that moment with their family, a promotion, or you have to embrace it. And you clearly did. Your old man clearly enjoyed it as well. Yeah.
But it was one of them things where you couldn't write it. You couldn't think, this is what I'm going to do if this happens, or this is what... It just felt right in that moment.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I was walking back and I could see where he was, and he was just standing there, arms crossed, like that. I was thinking, I'm getting you.
Nice. Right, let's switch up it a bit, right? Let's get a bit geeky now and talk about your gloves, right?
Yes.
This is Matt Smith, and this is the glove review on the Yours, Mine, Away podcast.
You're the first person that I've had come in with these gloves, right? So what brand do you wear, Dave?
So West Coast.
Yeah. Unknown to a lot of people in the UK.
Yeah.
An American brand.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, you've told me the story, how did this all come about?
I mean, I've always, different variety of brands. When I was at Liverpool, normally if I can get a freebie, that's
whatever was free, whatever's free.
So it was Adidas when I was obviously at Liverpool. And then just as I've gone through different stages of my career, different people put different brands here. Obviously I spoke to Adam Sells, and I wore Sells for a period, and then moved on to another glove for another reason, and then they kind of went bust, and then I was just like, all right, well, what do I wear now? And there was a goalkeeper that just sent me in, and I was in between. It was probably just right time, right place. If if I was in like a couple year contract and someone sent me gloves, I just put them to one side.
Yeah, not allowed to use them.
But he just sent me them the week before, and I run out of gloves. I thought, I'll use them, and I really liked them, and I think I had a decent game in them. And I thought, I'll keep wearing these. So he kept on sending me them, and then he got bought by these guys, West Coast, and they're great. Like to get to speak to, and to sending me gloves, even now, and obviously being American based, like it's just really good to have that brand over there, and then for me to then they gave me these gloves when I was at MK Dons still in League One.
Yeah, you've been with them a long time. Yeah.
So it's just to then have me go to Millwall was one step, and then eventually to play in the Premier League. Yeah. For them to say, "Well, we have a goalkeeper that's wore our gloves in the Premier League." Yeah. Like it was amazing. It was brilliant for them. Like I do get that, and I'll probably wear these gloves now until the day where I retire.
Yeah, nice. What size are you?
10.
Right, are they custom built to you at all, or you pretty standard spec?
They're pretty standard spec. I do like roll fingers, and I like the wrist kind of.
Yeah, it's not many keepers have that anymore.
Yeah. No, I just feel like
got a bit more traction on it.
That's it. Yeah, just gives you another bit of surface to get grip.
How often do you wear a new pair of gloves?
I'd say once every 4 games.
Yep.
I'd say that's it, and then they become training. And then they just keep getting pushed down.
And have you got any routines that you have with them? Any way you look after them? Do you carry them to your own games as well?
Yeah, I carry them to my own games.
Don't trust the kit man?
No, I'll always wash them the night before to let them dry for the day after, so they won't be completely
just hold a bit of moisture,
soggy or completely dry. They'll just be a little bit. I'd always put my right glove on first. I've got a little superstition, right glove on first. So
any other superstitions you have?
Yeah, I can't.
I've got loads. Yes, everyone goes, "Nah, play it cool, don't have any."
Yeah.
Loads of people do it.
I have to go into, if there's like 2 urinals, I always have to go in the right one.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
I have to eat at the same time. Try and go to the toilet at the same time.
Yeah. Proper think about it all. Yeah.
But then you've got to be careful. Dad obviously played a lot of games and stuff, and he was always similar to that. And he said, look, you've got to be careful of getting too many. I understand you want structure and routine, but if you don't put your right glove on first, is that really going to make a difference? Like, yeah, but in your head, because you want the game to go so well, you think it might help.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
So yeah,
any weird pre-match food or that?
I've changed through my career. Like I've gone from the standard beans on toast to then now, like they'd have like sourdough with salad, with chicken, a bit of pesto on top. Obviously, opponents probably won't like a little bit of pesto, garlic bread on top, but that's kind of, I think I've evolved to that kind of now.
That's how football is constantly evolving.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Do you remember the first ever pair of gloves you owned? Because yours weren't that long ago, mate.
So Dad got me, he was a manager at Southend, and he got me, I believe it was Simon Royce. I think it was a pair of Simon Royce's gloves. Yeah. I can't remember what they were.
Must have been massive.
Yeah. But they were like old, bitty. Like I look now, and they must have been like left in the utility room or something like that, where they were like dry. But I thought this is it. I made it. Like,
yeah, decent. Yeah. What about the correlation between outfielders and goalkeepers, right? So, 'cause I hate going into a meeting. So like we do a nutrition meeting and it's all based for outfielders, or our off-season program is all for outfielders. And you're like, why are we doing that stuff?
Yeah.
There's not enough specialist stuff yet. Even like in that world, even high up when you go up, you're like, no one really concentrates on us. We're still third-party citizens.
Yeah, I don't know when that will change. I think it will change.
Yep.
I think it has got better. Probably could be a little bit quicker.
Yep.
Because it is a specialised sport in itself, isn't it? Like that's the way it is. So even your gym, like you get that generic thing. But I still think they're still behind where, some players. I think it's got better with the individuals. Like you got Kurt Zuma or you got Saeed Benrahma. Like they're totally different
body shapes, heights.
Exactly, and they need different things for the different positions. So I think West Ham have started to use that, and I've got to say, when I was at West Ham, they did do individual programs, which helped me a lot.
Yep.
So having that one-to-one with Josh there, Josh Owens, his name is, it was brilliant.
Yeah, because you can tailor what you need.
Yeah, yeah. And then even with that, so that'd be in the gym, and then out the gym would be Nick Davies, who would do more pitch-based stuff. So, would it be bungee, like
Fast feet.
Fast feet? He's really good at like all of that fast feet, but making it specific to goalkeeping training.
Yeah, that's good then. Because the actual fast feet and the explosiveness that we need as a goalkeeper is so different than football players just need to run fast and be able to get off the mark quickly. But we're totally different because we have to go backwards, sideways, upwards.
Change the direction.
Yeah.
So everything is all about that, about the timing. And that's what Xavi's very good at.
Yeah.
Like, going from that. So they'd all have, they'll dovetail in what they were trying to do from the gym to then, the conditioning of the speed stuff with Nick to then Xavi would put it into actually, goalkeeping training.
Right.
So they was all on the same page.
Yep.
And I felt it, if anything, I was in the best nick of my life at 33, 34, 35.
Yep.
And I've carried that on now until I retire.
What's your thoughts on video analysis?
I really like it. Especially, I think that's the best learning tool I think I've had. So when I was at MK, we had really good analysts there, and they would code during the game every time I touched the ball.
Wisecout's amazing for that, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'd go finish the game. Within 5 minutes, I'd leave the dressing room and I'd go and watch straight away because I felt like I needed to process what I'd seen. So there would be things that, okay, I'm not too sure about what happened there. And then if it would clarify it for me.
Yep.
If I'd made a mistake, I'd go, right, why have I made that mistake? What's happened leading up to it? What was my position, etc.? Was there other factors that I didn't know at the time?
Yeah.
And then sometimes it makes it even worse, but because you're thinking, I can't quite see it. It looks bad. So I think, especially playing, League One and League Two, you only get one angle. So in the Premier League, you might see goals sometimes. You're thinking, how's that gone in there like that? But then when you see behind the goal, you're thinking, oh, right, it's deflected or
unsighted
but you get one glance, but that could be someone's opinion.
Yep.
From the side. That's what frustrates me about when
it frustrates all goalkeepers, mate. That's why I'm trying to do this.
Yeah.
The breakdown and the analysis of goalkeeping has to move along with the game as well. I think obviously the more that good guys and good goalkeepers come out of the game, you want them to go back into the game and help educate, I would say. Right, finally, I want to get to your last spell at MK Dons. Like I said, you are currently a free agent and you was there last season. Last season was a very different season for you on a whole. Yeah,
it was good things and there was bad things. Like that's probably the best way. It was just such a mixed bag from the start of obviously leaving West Ham.
Yep.
If I could have stayed at West Ham,
obviously
I would have. I just understood that they had obviously Lucas, Alphonse, and Darren as the three goalkeepers, and then they had young goalkeepers and. For me, I genuinely want West Ham to do well.
Yep.
And from the outside, I think probably it was the right decision for West Ham. As much as it took me probably 6 months probably to get over it. The best way I could probably just describe it was it was almost like I was in mourning.
Yeah.
Like I did really feel really low. And I'd then gone into not having a club to then just training with MK Dons. Making that commute up from Epping to Milton Keynes every day, which was tough in itself. Thinking, right, don't have a club. And then I was there for about a month at the time. And then obviously had the really bad news of Lewis Price, who's like an amazing guy. I said, if you ever get a chance to meet him, you won't regret it.
Yeah.
He's such a good, well-balanced guy. And he pulled me one day and he said, look, Dave, I've got something to tell you. I was thinking, what's going on here? Obviously he said I've got testicular cancer, and it was really hard to take because I'd only been there a month, but I felt like I'd really got really close to him. He's a couple of years older than me, and obviously he's the goalie coach at MK, and he almost says, Dave, I think we want you to take over the goalkeepers. And I was just like, look, I'm not ready to retire yet. I feel okay. I'm 36 at the time. I still feel like I've got 3-4 years left to play. Like that's how I feel with myself. He's like, all right, well, let's go and speak to the manager and we'll take it from there. And the manager said the same thing. He says, Dave, I think you'd be great. And I said, look, I still want to play. And then that's when they kind of went on and said, okay, what about a player coach role? And I thought about it, and it went on for like a couple more weeks, and obviously Pricey then ended up going into treatment, and it was kind of left to me and the manager and the sporting director, and we came, I thought we came to an agreement of what it was going to be, and it wasn't quite, and I found it really tough. So I think it will happen to every player that comes out and goes into coaching. You think, I know my stuff. Like, I've played how many ever games, and I've been a professional for 20 years. I've done so many goalkeeping sessions. But then to when you go, right, you've got to put this session on, go and do it.
Yeah.
It's like, right, okay, so I did this. I've done the things that all I knew.
Yep.
So I was lucky. I had Jamie Cummins, Franco Ravazzoli, and little Ronnie Sanford.
Some good young ones as well.
So they're different, varied. Obviously, Jamie from Chelsea, who's been a really good standard, and then Franco's come over from Argentina and had a different style, and obviously Ronnie was just kind of learning his trade still. So then putting on sessions that I've been doing for like a similar thing to like Xavi. I'm my own coach. I'm my own person. What I realised, you can't. You can nick bits here and there, but you can't put sessions because goalkeepers sometimes don't understand what you're trying to do, even though you've been in them. To how do you put them together is so different to what it is when you're doing it. So that's the best way to explain it.
And you don't often get enough time to explain how you're doing during a session. You're just trying to move the session on to get what each goalkeeper should be getting out of the session, but you don't get that 5-10 minutes to go, we're doing this because of this, they do this, we want you to learn this bit, and technically this will help you do this. So that's what I found really tough. And for the first 6 weeks, I think it was 2 months, I was the player coach, and I'd gone from obviously all my career, I don't know, it's the ginger biscuit in me. I just want to win. I want to compete. I want to do as good as I can in training, and I want to go and play. So for them to go, right, I understood that Jamie was going to play, but then, you've got to lead the sessions. I found that really tough at the start, like getting that balance right. So you wanted the sessions to work and you wanted the lads to do well, but then you wanted to join in as well. But that's what I found really tough. So I ended up, after that first 2 months, said, look, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I've made a mistake. And they said, okay, look, we're going to get someone else in. So they got another goalkeeping coach in. And it was only about another month, 6 weeks before that manager, because things weren't going well. So I think there's a lot of factors into it, of course,
that made that really tough environment and made it tough for me. And the team wasn't doing great. So the manager got the sack. And they were like, the sporting director was like, Dave, will you just take over until we find... I was just like, okay then. So, but I want to leave in January because I still want to go and play and still... And then I was closed here and there in January. It got to mid-January, last week in January, and I thought it was going to happen on the last day, and it didn't come off for one reason or another. And I was thinking, right. But that gave me the chance when the new manager came in, like Jacko came in, Mark Jackson, and it was almost mine. So I'd gone from trying to pick up the rope from like Pricey and how they wanted Jamie to then go, right, you go and it's your baby now. Yeah,
you do what you want to do with the goalies. It's
exactly. Yeah, so I felt like I did that, and I felt like I got better and better at it. So all of a sudden I was planning for, okay, who we playing at the weekend? Bolton. It's shots from distance, set pieces, cutbacks. So I noticed they did a lot of cutbacks. So I'd plan a session through the week. For cutbacks.
All of that,
So that gave me a starting point to then plan a session, and I kind of threw everything I thought I knew about goalkeeping out, and then started again. So the last 4 or 5 months that I did that, I thought, oh, okay, I can see this now. I can see that this is going to be something I'm going to do one day. As much as I still want to play now, which I am going to do, I've kind of said, right, I put the coaching to one side, and I'm going to concentrate on playing. But I know whenever I need to, I'm going to take that because I've got that experience of analysing opposition, analysing my goalkeepers, putting on sessions for either or. And I've got a variety of sessions now. You've got the content now to go. I had to go and buy myself a Mac because all of a sudden I've got a MacBook and I'm logged all my sessions on of the different goalkeepers that I've had and different sessions and plan them out, and I'm putting presentations on now. So I'm thinking this stuff.
Didn't think you was doing that at the start of the season.
I would never, even in a million years, I had my little pencil and paper to then all of a sudden putting presentations on a Friday for my goalkeepers. I'm thinking, right, these are their attacking threats. So, and then you get to look at other goalkeepers. So then can you go, right, our strikers, trying to help our strikers out. I'm thinking, right, they tend to go down early. If you go with 1v1, do this, do that. This is what they do. So there's so many things that I've learned. Yeah. So I've turned a really kind of rough year into something productive, and positive.
Right. Finally, then, what's next for you then? Currently a free agent.
Yeah, I just want to play football. Yeah. Of course, it needs to be the right term, on the right terms. So that's playing. That's, you know, it needs to be location in a certain degree. Yep. The money and location. Let me rephrase that. The money and location makes a difference. Of course it does, yeah. You know, if I'm going to be spending time, if I've got young family, then it needs to be worth me doing that.
It's got to be rewarding.
That's
in
right.
Some way, yeah.
But I still feel like, you know, you know yourself. Like, I speak to pros that are younger than me and older than me, and they said, I knew I was ready to retire. Yeah. I'm not ready. Like, I just love being a goalkeeper.
Same. I've got 40 in my head. I want to get to 40. Still playing.
I said, well, why not go past that?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You know, if you still feel good enough,
true.
then and you're still doing it, of course, them questions are going to be asked. Yeah. If a goal goes in, you think, oh, maybe I could have done better with that. If you're 25, no one would even mention it.
No,
age,
it's true. 100%
like,
agree.
I know it's obvious, but why not? Like I said, you know, the stupid thing is that age is only a number, but it's not as how you feel, how you look, and how you're competing every day. Yeah, that's for me is the biggest thing.
Brilliant, mate. Well, it's been class to get you in. What another great episode, by the way. What a lovely guy as well, mate. Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Dave.
Mate. Thank you.
Class, mate. Thank you very much. This has been the Yours, Mine, Away podcast with me, Mark Howard. Please make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps us grow. Buzzing off this episode. Some great stories as well. Thank you for sharing, Dave.
Cheers, Mark. Thanks.
Cheers. Mate. Take care, guys.